Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks, out and about again today with an update video. Have a bit of a chat about what's going on here in Spain while I go for a walk this morning. It's a cold morning, I will say, around 1 degree Celsius today, I believe, heading for a top of 11 degrees Celsius. So getting cool as we head into the cold winter months in this part of Spain at least. As you guys know, Madrid is not one of the warmer parts of the country in the winter months. Gets quite cold, and the winter has already started in my opinion, although not officially, but winter weather for sure. I'll turn the camera around so you can see that although it's cold, it is a sunny day. That's one of the advantages of living in a place like Madrid. The sun is out most days, although it's cold. Unlike some other European countries where the sun doesn't shine for 3 months, Madrid is different in that regard, so that's a positive. Now I'm out today as usual with my little friend Mia here, who yesterday went to the hairdressers, the dog dresser or dog barber shop if you like. 40 euros later, and this is the result, a nice clipping, and she looks more like a schnauzer now than she did before when the hair was a little bit out of control. And I will say that dog hairdressers in this country, or at least this part of Spain, are doing a booming business at the moment. As I said yesterday, it cost me 40 euros to get that haircut for Mia. Very expensive in my opinion. Not sure what the rates are in other places in the local area. I didn't get any quotes from other places, but I think they all work around the same figures. 40 euros, as I said, 2 hours she was in there, but luckily it's only once every 3 or 4 months that she gets a clip. But if there are people out there that know how to cut dogs' hair and are looking to open a business in this country, I reckon that would be a pretty good business to start, because not only did it cost 40 euros to have Mia's haircut yesterday, but it also took me 3 weeks to get an appointment. So booming business, as I said. Now I'll just put the sunglasses on because the sun is very bright this morning. As I said, coming over the hill there, straight into my eyes. So definitely need sunglasses, even though it's the 30th of November today. Now this is a new initiative that the local council has come up with to make the city more bike friendly. They have turned this road here, which used to be 2 lanes, into a single lane road, and put a bike lane down the middle on both sides. As we can see down there, there's a rubbish truck collecting the bins, and cars are piled up behind it. And that's one of the big complaints from neighbours, that when something like this happens, or if a bus stops there and various people hop on and off, traffic does not circulate where it did before. And let's just say that people in the neighbourhood are not happy. And as we can see, 9 o'clock in the morning, not a single bicycle to be seen. And that's also one of the big complaints, that people are not using the bike lanes. Because funnily enough, there's already a bike lane here, which nobody used before. So we've got 1, 2, 3 bike lanes here. And as you can see, not a single bike. But I've got a dedicated video on this topic in the works. So should be out shortly, where I talk about some of the pros and cons of this new traffic system here where I live. Now we've got another council initiative here, a common area for composting. As we can see here, construcción de nueva área de compostaje comunitario. Disculpen las molestias. Not up and running yet, but the idea is that people bring their organic waste down here and turn it into compost, and then people will have access to the soil for their plants later, I imagine. Or at least that's what I think is the idea. Driver up here learning how to parallel park. Not having too much luck at the moment, unfortunately. We'll eventually get it in, but why are you parallel parking in this spot when there's no one behind you? I've got no idea. Probably would have been better to try to get it into this space here, where there is a car behind and a car in front. But hey, that's just my opinion. So new bike lanes all over the place, composting areas set up now in this part of Madrid. So we are definitely going green, or at least we're heading in that direction. Now we can get a view here from my favorite street in the area. Very foggy down below. There's a couple of rivers down there, hence the fog. And we can see that, as I said before, winter fast approaching. And that leads me to the next topic of conversation, remote working in this country, and especially in places like the Canary Islands, which, as we know, is experiencing a bit of a boom when it comes to remote working. Digital nomads currently, people from all over Europe, heading to that part of Spain because, as we know, the weather down there is fantastic. There's none of this winter fog in places like the Canary Islands, or at least I don't think so. You'd probably have sea mist down there, but no cold winters. And that's why people are flocking to the Canary Islands in their thousands to escape the cold weather and also to work in a more relaxed environment. Cheaper environment as well. The Canary Islands are one of the cheapest parts of Spain, and you put that together with a fantastic lifestyle, great weather. That is why people are moving to that part of the country to work. And if I didn't have the family commitments that I have, I would move to the Canary Islands in a jiffy, like those other 50,000 Europeans that have done so over the last 8 months or so. And remember, this is without the digital nomad visa, which is not even up and running yet. These are Europeans that have the freedom to work in other European countries, and they're taking advantage, as I said before, of that fantastic lifestyle, great weather that the Canaries has to offer. But for all of the positives of moving to a place like the Canaries, there are some negatives as well. We had a comment yesterday on the channel saying that water is a problem in the Canary Islands. It is not a finite resource. People moving down there also put stress on the existing infrastructure. Queues are longer apparently, and general services takes longer to get things done with more and more people moving down there. And he also spoke about another problem that I wasn't aware of, and that is that some people that move down there with bigger salaries than the locals walk around with a sense of entitlement, thinking that they are the bee's knees, that they are the kings of the Canaries, I imagine, because they do have, as I said, bigger salaries than the locals. They can buy more things, they can live in better places, and some people apparently, as that guy said, walk around with that sense of entitlement. So an interesting dilemma that can pop up with digital nomads moving into your area. Not to mention the stress that it puts on other things, like for example the rental market, because if you've got people coming down to a place like Tenerife with higher salaries, they're able to pay more. Landlords take advantage of this, put rent prices up, and locals get squeezed out. We've seen it happen in other cities around the world. People say that it happens in Lisbon now, Barcelona, and other cities. Mexico City, I think also somebody said that this is happening. So it is a common trend with this digital nomad economy. So authorities down there in the Canaries will no doubt have to work this one out if they can. And here's a closer view of that fog down there in the valley where the rivers meet here in the Madrid community. The Manzanares River and the Jarama River. Down there is where they join. And the Canary Islands has for a long time been a place where locals have found it tough to make a living. I mean, a lot of people from the Canaries have moved to other countries. I remember living in London back in the day, and there were lots of people from the Canaries trying to make a living there. Also South American countries. Venezuela has a huge population of people that came from the Canaries looking for a better life there. So it's always been a struggle for the locals, the Canaries, but hopefully now they can find the balance and the economic situation in those islands improves. Now the final thing I'm going to talk about today is youth unemployment in this country, currently sitting at around 32%, I believe, people under the age of 25. We saw an article earlier in the week about low salaries for people in that age group, 16 to 29 I think it was, that don't earn more than €1,000 a month. In fact, I think it was around 45.5% of people between those ages don't earn more than $1,000. And that is a low salary, especially if you're living in a place like Madrid where €1,000 would not go very far. Somebody sent me an email yesterday with a link to an article in an Irish newspaper about how the Irish government is trying to woo young Spaniards by offering them higher salaries, and apparently there's a lot of interest among the youth here in Spain to move to countries like Ireland because of those high salaries. But the paradox apparently is that there's no accommodation in Ireland currently, or at least it's very expensive and difficult to find. So a bit of a problem there. And this is something that surprised me, considering the fact that there are jobs in this country going begging, especially in the construction sector, and they're looking for young people to fill those jobs. So Spanish youth don't want to work here, don't want to get their hands dirty, prefer to go to a place like Ireland, make more money, and jobs here go begging, and they have to get people from other countries to come in and fill them. Doesn't make sense. At least it doesn't make sense for me. Why wouldn't you want to work in one of these sectors here in Spain? At least stay in the country rather than going overseas to a country like Ireland. Can't work it out. Another example of how the local council initiatives don't seem to be working, because every single bike is parked here in its spot. No one using the bike scheme. So new bike lanes, plenty of bikes, but no riders. So yet another dilemma for the government here in Spain, that of youth unemployment. 32%, very high. 1 in 3 young people can't get a job. It was worse a few years ago. I think it got to around 42%. So 32% compared to 42. Bit of an improvement, but as we know, young people don't want to work for low salaries if they can avoid it, especially in sectors like construction. So just the thought, maybe it's time to increase salaries in that sector, get them back to the salaries that they were before the bubble burst back in 2008. Maybe people will come back into the sector and start working. Also, when it comes to bars and restaurants, increase salaries, and you might get people filling those jobs. But as I said, just a thought, because let's be honest, it seems like a bit of a waste to educate people in this country and then have them set off and start their working lives in another country that hasn't paid for their education. But hey, that's been happening here for decades. As I said before, it's a shame. Anyway, that's enough of my ranting for today. Hope you enjoyed the walk around my local neighborhood here. Good to get out and about, even though it is a bit chilly, rather than sitting home in the office and doing the videos like I normally do, getting out and about and seeing what's going on here locally, although not a lot, as you guys have seen. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. Debate the topics that I have mentioned out today in that comment section. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. We'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego. What's over there, Mia? Is there a dog over there? Is there a dog over there, Mia? Hey? Hey? Would you like to go and play with the dog? Let's go.